Welcome to the Happy Hour podcast with Streamline Woodshop, sponsored by, wait for it, nobody. Sponsored by nobody still. In my defense, podcast defense, I haven't been actively pursuing a sponsorship. Getting to the end of the season here. Who needs a sponsor when I've got listeners like you, right? That said, if and when, not if and when I will manifest, when the podcast gets a sponsor, another sponsor, I'm going to take anything they give and I'm going to give it to somebody else to produce and edit this here podcast. I don't care if nobody listens to this ever. I thoroughly enjoy doing it. Just don't enjoy the editing and all that stuff. I'd love to just pop on and talk to some people. That's why I started this in the first place. It came to my attention by a loved one at that the last episode, the Randall episode, which I highly recommend you listen to, I sounded a little depressed. And, the reason I sounded a little depressed is because I was depressed. The past couple months have been a bit of a doozy for me, but we all go through that kind of stuff. So I'm not somebody that I'm not an actor. I am what I am. So yeah, I was depressed. And I got to tell you, I'm sure you've been there at one point in your life, but the last thing that you want to do when you're depressed is like communicate with the outside world. I filmed or I recorded the Randall episode, and this episode you're listening to now with Jeremy Rowe of many of you know him of Harvey fame, but he's more than that. I filmed them within a 24-hour period of each other, and it took a lot of energy for me to even keep it on the schedule, to be honest with you. It was a rough time. But that said, I felt great after each of them. It turns out I needed to talk to people. I guess that's why I started this podcast in the first place. I spent a lot of time alone, and I don't communicate often verbally. If you guys remember what that is, that's when you're like looking at somebody right in their face and you're talking to them. I don't do that as often as I did back in the day. The older I get, the easier it is to isolate. So it was actually really good, and I want to start doing more of these. Not just once a month. I'm only doing once a month because that's all I can really squeeze into my day. But if you take anything from me and you're not feeling good, get out there and talk to somebody or call somebody or do something. And this episode in particular with Jeremy, such a great dude to talk to. Asked more questions than I did. I think I spoke more in this episode than I have in any episode. And whether he knows it or not at that time, I kind of needed it. It was nice to have somebody ask me about me, especially when I was down in the dumps. So I hope you give this a listen. You're not just popping on to hear me ramble. Jeremy Rowe's a rad dude. We met via Instagram. We talk about Instagram. We talk about social media. As I mentioned, a lot of you might know him as the Harvey dude, Mr. Harvey. But if you give this episode a listen, you'll find out he's a lot more than Mr. Harvey. Even though, what else do you need, really? Mr. Harvey. Have a listen.
I got that Starlink, so we should be good.
What is that?
That's the Elon Musk internet.
I didn't even know that was I thought
You're not familiar?
No.
Oh gosh.
Let's just get right into this. Let's talk Starlink.
This isn't woodworking at all.
Well, I don't really talk woodworking on this podcast. It'll come up, but that's how I know people. But I'd rather talk about Jeremy. So Jeremy, tell me about Starlink.
So Starlink is the Elon Tesla internet, so to speak. So it is purely satellite. As long as you can see the sky, you have good internet. And I'm in a rural area, so the best I could do with my local options was like 100 meg and that was on the top end, and I wouldn't get 100 meg. So I looked into that. I've got a clear view of the sky. Bought it to try it out, and yeah, I'm soaring. I'm at like 500 now. So
What is it like? So what do you have at your house? Like a satellite dish or an antenna?
it's super small. It's about the size of maybe a little bit bigger than a MacBook, and you put it on the roof, and it comes with all the stuff to secure it, and that's it.
I had no idea. I like to
We're in
me
the future.
to me that was like a like you hooked it up to your RV or something. It was one of those where they're just
They've got a mini. They've got a mini that you can travel with too. Like you can put in a backpack.
and you pay one time or you pay monthly.
You pay monthly.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean it's your internet service. Yeah,
Got it.
but it's I mean for people that have like fiber in their area, that's probably better. But I definitely don't. So it's awesome.
I'm gonna have to look into this. We're
look
using
into it.
we're
It's
using
good.
cords like a bunch of fucking idiots over here. We got cables running to our modems.
And then you can use your own mesh system for the house or whatever. Yeah, yeah.
I dig it. So you sound like you're from California.
Really?
Where you're in Kentucky, right?
I'm in Kentucky. Yeah. You know, it's a little blurred out here. You can see the name of my shop, West Kentucky Woodworking. I'm in. If you think of Kentucky as the state, I'm in the little tip down at the bottom.
Oh, I don't know geography to save my life. I do
So
believe
it's
you're
where-
south of me, underneath me.
Yeah.
So you're probably central. Are you central time zone?
Yeah, I'm central. If you drove south, dead south for 6 hours, you would get to me.
Got it. So I've driven through you.
Oh.
I've never spent any
felt
time
you.
in Kentucky. I've never spent any time in Kentucky, but I've been to Tennessee a bunch, and so if we would
Right,
drive
right.
through there, I've always wanted to do the whiskey
Yeah,
tour through there.
See, that's like a couple hours east of me. That's like in the Frankfurt, Louisville, Lexington area, and that's awesome. It's definitely something up. You can make a full awesome weekend out of that for
Yeah.
sure. But
I want to check that out.
speaking of drinks,
Yeah, what do you got
we-
there?
I'm a tequila guy.
All right.
So I got a little margarita here, but it's in my Kentucky Derby themed glass. So
Well, cheers to you. Mine's way less presentable. It's in a hydro flask. I felt like I was maybe getting a bit of a cold due to the weather change, so I'm having a screwdriver. Because why would I not have a drink
of course.
with some orange juice though?
So cheers.
less manly through a straw. So you say you're rural. You got a nice looking shop from what I can tell there.
It's an illusion.
Yeah. Is it a garage
No.
shop?
I'm in the garage. Yeah, my workshop is just a 2-car garage, and most of the tools and everything you normally see from me is in one half of it. So that's why I wanted to talk to you about your modular system in your shop that you're working on, because that's where I started, because everything had to fit in just this one side. Like there's an imaginary line in the middle where I'm at now, where my wife's van, can go when needed, and now that is often overflow for big projects. Like if I'm doing a big sign or a big table, I'm in there, and those sorts of jobs get sped up because she lets me hear it that she can't pull in here. But yeah, I'm in just a humble 2-car garage, one half of it, and I've kind of built everything in here. But it's definitely doable. I've got everything that you need to do a fully functioning wood shop. So
Were you operating professionally out of there? Like
no. So just like my backstory of getting into woodworking, like going a little ways back. This is our second home, like not our starter home, not our forever home. We're just kind of here right now. And it's the same story of a lot of guys on here. I was doing home projects and started buying some tools as a young family guy, and then it just kind of evolved. And really, like the trigger point was, it's kind of a funny story. My wife told me, like, I can't buy you anything. Like, you're kind of boring. You need to get a real hobby. And so that this became my hobby, like doing woodworking stuff. I started on Instagram, like just watching, because that was, gosh, it's probably been 6-7 years ago. I don't know. I've never asked you how long you've been around on Instagram, but what a lot of the purists would call like the good old days on Instagram.
Yeah.
Of when it didn't have to be reels. It could just be stories. Like it was really engaging. You could instantly connect with people, and just got into it that way and started building out the shop, and reinvested in the shop with each little thing. Got into a little bit more of epoxy work, and I've kind of veered into that. I really enjoy that.
Well, your epoxy stuff's great. I mean, at least the way you show it, anyways.
Yeah,
it looks awesome.
Epoxy's tricky and it's expensive, so it's hard to, if you mess up, it's an expensive mess up. But I enjoy working with it, and it's hard to work with it in this shop. Like I don't have a clean room, I don't have anything, and this is like how we get in and out of our house. So like when I'm doing a big pour, I'm like, all right, guys, go out through the through the back door. So it's a challenge, but I've got some future plans that we can talk about later. But I'll be getting a bigger shop, and hopefully sooner than later.
What were you doing prior to like delving into like, I need to have a hobby so my wife can buy me something world?
I mean, I'm a football guy, I'm a gym guy, and I would just go to the gym, watch football, and then we started having kids. So who the hell can have a hobby,
right?
That's that deep when you start having kids.
Yeah, yeah.
So.
No, I guess more for your career wise.
So woodworking is not, woodworking is a side thing for me, and the social media aspect of it. My day job, I'm an environmental engineer at a chemical plant.
Okay.
Yeah, so we haven't talked about that at all.
This is why I do this.
Yeah. So I've got my bachelor's and master's in EHS, like health, environmental, and to kind of not be boring, I basically deal with the EPA on behalf of the company. So getting environmental permits, following the regs, compliance, all that stuff.
Got it.
Yeah.
Is that what you went to school to do? Obviously, you have a bachelor's and a master's, but that's why you started college?
Yeah, I started in more in the safety world. So where I live, it's rural, but there's a ton of industry here. There's a lot of chemical plants in my area, and I graduated initially in 2009, and I was kind of led down the path that the safety and environmental and the regulatory world was ramping up for all these industries, and this is something you can get into. And my local college, which is Murray State University. You familiar with Murray State? Okay.
I'm barely familiar with the word college,
Okay. Well, there you go. They make the NCAA tournament like once every 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
So anyway, but my local college had a safety program, and so it was close to me. It was in a trending up field, and I was one of the lucky ones that got to go through the program, stay local to home, because we got family and stuff here.
Yeah.
There's a lot in that world that move off to like the Gulf, like Texas and refineries and East West Coast, that sort of thing. But I'm here, so and that's the job.
That's a 40-hour plus a week job, and then for those that don't know, you are the Harvey man.
I'm Mr. Harvey, yeah, and we can talk about that backstory too. But yeah, just Harvey is something that started maybe a few years into my hobby. Mm-hmm. As one is growing the tools and getting on Instagram and engaging, connected with Harvey, and that has its own history. But yeah, Harvey has just exploded. It's changed my trajectory of life, kind of.
Yeah.
It's why I'm here right now talking with you.
Yeah, well, no kidding. I mean, and it's oddly enough, the social media world in general is why really we're here talking,
right.
That's where that comes from. It's got so many awesome attributes, that come with some negatives. But to answer your question earlier, I mean, I got on the Instagram when they had it. I mean, this is when I was out in, when I first started my business. I don't know, Instagram's got to be around 15 years or more. I don't know. But it was just a thing we took photos with. And then later on, when I was in Portland, it became a little more of a business thing for me. So before I'd post my business stuff on my personal page, and then you were able to have another page connected to that.
Right.
But as far as like the wood shop goes, that was August of last year is when I started that.
Okay. So you've really boomed. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I treated it when I came on like a job, So to me, it was always a digital business card, and that's how it was with
Yep.
Streamline Craftsman, which was my main page. And then when we started getting back into general contracting work, but I was in control of the page, it was me doing woodwork in my basement, and
Right.
nothing that we were actually like making money doing. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I'll start another page just to make that separation. But I did, I came in, I'm going to do 3 reels a week. I'll try to do 2 posts a week and stories. I'm still undefeated with stories since I started that page. I
Yeah.
haven't missed a
Yeah.
day. And I think that's, like, that's the only reason I've gotten any sort of traction on there is just because
Yeah.
I stay consistent.
Consistency is huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, to be honest, my personal page has become, initially it was me trying to do exactly that. I wasn't as consistent as you, but it got big enough where I got into those connections, and now it's less, it's less of me hustling to do projects. Like, I'm lucky in that I get to kind of pick and choose the projects that I do now. But yeah, that's I definitely know the grind of the engagement and how it can be fickle sometimes too.
Yeah, and I wish I hear all about the good old or the good old days when it was just fun, I guess, and less
Yeah.
of a grind. Because I mean, even still, like I guess probably back then you were making content for people that were watching your content, like so the people that you knew, and now you need to be making content for people that don't want to watch your content,
Yeah.
so that you can hope to grab them and
Right.
accumulate your numbers and do all that. So then now you're putting higher levels in your production and you're not just talking to your friends anymore. They're
Right.
seeing it.
Right. Right.
And then I think on that other end, your friends that you've made through social media because you were making content and that's how you guys know each other, they're jaded as well because they understand why you just made the thing you just made, and
Yeah.
you got to be that much more creative to impress them to get them on
Yeah.
your side. So
Yeah.
it's I think my biggest attribute is I wasn't there for the good old days, so I'm not jaded. You know,
Well,
uh,
that's good.
yeah,
Yeah. I've seen some big number guys just get burnt out
yeah.
and fall off, and there's some stagnant accounts out there with 100K, or just
I think they must
lost
they
as
move though, right? I mean, they have to be moving to YouTube or
I guess,
TikTok to
yeah, I
where there's a
guess,
little more modification to where you're getting
yeah.
paid for it. I don't know.
I
I
feel
just do
like,
it.
and you can give me your feedback on this, but I feel like just super recently that Instagram wants to be a little more like TikTok,
Yeah,
right? They see the it used to be long form stuff. You could watch a project, you could watch a build video, and people would on Instagram, and now it's like it better not be over 60 seconds or else you're losing
60 seconds, and you
people.
have to show the ending before you even start, so that they know what they're about to
They
watch.
grab it.
Yeah.
I know.
I mean, I
Yeah.
never really messed with TikTok up until like 8 months ago.
Yeah.
So it's definitely different. But on TikTok, I'll load something up. I'm typically making the same content for everything, which I'm
Sure.
starting to change now. But I'd load something up and it would say like, people watch longer form content here. So like you should make this longer. But then it's like you want to also post it on YouTube Shorts, and YouTube Shorts has to be under a minute. So I mean that's kind of where I gear
Yeah.
everything because YouTube looks to be the best way to make some money doing it anyway. So now
Right.
I try to keep everything under a minute if possible, which is tough if you're trying to trying to show something being built and actually like show it.
Right. Yeah.
That's why I just every once in a while I just toss out kind of something that's controversial,
Yeah, just to get, yeah.
and then that
Listen,
gets a rise out of people and enough people watch it, and then you get something.
so I've got to be kind of hyper aware of all the different platforms and their needs when I'm like, well, just for our stuff, my stuff, whatever, and when I'm, targeting partners, because like somebody that's good for TikTok may not be good for Instagram, and certainly somebody that's good for all those may not be good for YouTube, and vice versa. So it's all, you got to kind of know your audience, but you can't spend the extra time filming different angles and cuts and stuff of the same thing for different platforms. So it's like a, and it's the same when you're trying to shoot for YouTube and Instagram, because you got horizontal versus vertical even. Short of getting two different cameras out, that's because people know, like, when there's something on Instagram that was zoomed in from a YouTube clip. Right. People know.
I'm doing now where I just started, so I have the DJI Osmo something. The one that moves with you, and then I have an extra phone. So, and it didn't work this time because my mic wasn't working for the Osmo. But the plan was I was just doing like how to mill some wood, and I was doing one for Instagram, which was going to be more of the creepy side, just real quick. Just kind of showing the stuff, and I would do a voiceover, and then one for YouTube. So like I storyboarded it and everything. So like I'm going to run it through. I'm going to do my YouTube long form, explanation and all that. So but I do think that's the way I'll be going for moving forward, is just kind of really plan it out first. And then have two cameras and kind of talk to each one, or have a different format for each one. TikTok, I think you just got to be of a certain age, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't know. I don't understand it. I don't use it. And YouTube Shorts, I also don't go on and use, so I don't know what's on there.
You load to it, but you're not.
Yeah, it's what they call post and ghost. Instagram's the only thing I use, and Reddit. I use Reddit more than anything, really. Like I love Reddit, but that's not a place to promote yourself. I mean, you can promote yourself for Harvey, I guess. Like, you can promote yourself on the woodworking page, but everybody knows the game, so it's not, you're not getting a new audience there. It's niche.
Yeah. And it feels like, all those are probably the exact same content. It's just that, like, you get it later. Like we make this joke that it's on TikTok, and then in a week it'll be on Instagram Reels, and then another week it might be on Facebook. You know what I mean? It's
Facebook makes no sense to me. I can't monetize it, and everybody's just mean there, but they watch and they will comment.
It's not your people that you want to grab, though. It's just people.
It's a good place, I think, to sell goods. If you're making production type of
I know
a
lot of people that it is their number one. It is their number one.
If you're looking to entertain or just have an image, I guess I don't know what it would be that I'm doing, but I don't think that's where it's at. It's just a place for people to yell at me.
But for like the partnership side, I was going to ask you, and we can talk about your shop too. I want to hear about your shop and those plans. But, we were talking kind of about partnerships, and I've been on both sides of the table, because I started with Harvey as just a partner. But now that I'm on this side, I wanted to hear kind of if you had any experiences working with brands, and, the different methodologies, because we know how you and I have worked together, and I always like to hear how that's different or the same from other types.
I would say, I mean, I'm granted there's way better people to talk to than me with this, but I turn down more than I ever take with brands typically. I would say the average brand is looking to give me an affiliate link, maybe a product, like whatever they're trying to sell at that moment. So maybe, but sometimes that's a $200, piece of something, right? So it's not even worth what I would charge to do a reel or something. So they're looking for free salespeople. So, I mean, I've had them where they're giving 40% on sales and like pretty good commissions. If I was a salesman, I was about to dedicate my life to selling your product, all of a sudden stop doing my life, stop doing what I do. This would be a great deal. So I would say that it's mainly that, definitely wringing out every drop that they can get out of you. So from all that, like, that's why I like working with Harvey is, you guys, if we're partnering, you're providing me, a product that I not only love, but I can use and then use in my business and make money. So it's not a hobby thing. Um, and then you're not leaving me with any like I need 13 reels a week and all this kind of stuff. And we're not going to give you any money because you start adding up. I mean, sometimes if you really want to put some effort, say like a YouTube video, I could put 8 hours into that. You know, what would 8 hours of shop work cost? And let's start adding that up. That's 2 table saws now. You know what I mean? So it's
Right.
I better have some more saws showing up at my door. Otherwise we should start talking money. But I think it's because of those good old days that you were talking, and then all these brands saw opportunities to monetize off of these people that are out there doing something for free on a free platform. And they're happy to get something for free. You know, it's like that summer school movie back in the day in the 80s where like, you know, they all wrote into a sunglass place and said they love their sunglasses and they got a box of sunglasses, right? Like that feels cool, you know? Like
and listen, man, you would not believe the range of like reactions that I get from people as far as like their graciousness and willingness to do whatever. Cause like, and it doesn't even matter about the number, right? So like big accounts, small accounts, I've had some pretty small accounts make some pretty big demands, and I've had some big accounts be like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. Let's do it. So that's always interesting to hear. And like you said about the links, that's something that Harvey did in the very beginning before I was even involved. And, you know, we don't really do that anymore. We might in the future, but really more of the natural, organic kind of model is where we're at now. We're probably positioning to do some different things in that arena in 25 and moving forward. But I think people, like the approach was, and like I'll go back to kind of me getting on with Harvey. When I was just a partner, I was just giving them feedback on what I saw in their space in the community, because I was happy to get involved. I was a smaller account and they still, responded to me. You talked about the accessibility of Instagram. You know, sending a DM in Instagram might get you to the guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If they're running lean, the marketing person is probably running their social medias. So and that's what worked for me. Like I got my G700 like 4 years ago, and it wasn't free. I just got a discount, but I saw it from Jason Bent's video. And I was like, that's awesome. That'll work great for my shop because it's portable, right? Mm-hmm. The modular aspect of it. And that was our deal. And that was it. No strings attached. I did my part. We kept on going. I kept, tagging, whatever. But as they were growing, I noticed like it was off a little bit with like the community engagement. So I just messaged the guy that I worked with, who was doing marketing, but also the North American CEO at the time, that you met at IWF.
Oh yeah.
But it was super lean back in those days. And I just told him, I was like, hey, I can tell that like something changed. And he was like, yeah, we've moved to this marketing firm. And I was like, well, this is just me giving you feedback as a friend. It's not great. Like you're backing people that aren't doing great for you. And I didn't have any ask. Like I was just giving him feedback as a friend. And then about a couple weeks passed, and he messaged me back and said, you know what, I took a closer look at that and you were right. Do you want to do it? And that was like a whoa thing. But I just say that to say like the connectivity that you can get from Instagram. If there are people out there watching, like that's where you should start. And be like, put yourself on the receiving end of that, whatever message you're sending. Like I've had people send me messages like, hey, do y'all have any free stuff? Or emails that say, what's your partnership program? And like not even send me their socials. Like, am I going to go look you like,
right.
No. So just try to, if there's anybody out there trying to get those sorts of things, and go get your Star Bond affiliate link. Like everybody, they hand those out like Halloween candy.
Yeah. I don't even have one of those. I mean, I get they
Well,
give me free stuff, but I don't try to
so
like
you
sell it.
just skipped you skipped that.
I
Yeah,
don't. I
that's
mean,
awesome.
as a human being, I'm not a salesperson. I will sell the hell out of something that I love,
Sure.
and that I like, and I do heavy research on everything in this world that I purchase, and I'll tell you all the reasons I bought it, which are the same reasons I think you should buy it. But
Right.
I'm not just somebody that's gonna, be out there for sale. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I always looked at
Yeah.
that. If you're selling, you're for sale as well, and I'm not good at that. Like I have to like what I'm selling you. That said, there's probably a certain number that you can give me that will make me pretend to like what
Sure.
what I'm saying very much. But
Sure. Sure.
I
Sure.
haven't even come close to seeing a number like that to sell something that
Right.
I don't want to sell. And like for me with Instagram and all of these things, like especially in woodworking, we all can kind of do the same stuff. Like and whatever I know how to do, you could probably learn, within a few months, and vice versa. So it's really about who we are, and why
Exactly.
does somebody want to buy your thing over my thing? And it's
Right.
typically because they like you, or they like your vibe, or they like your style, or whatever it is. So same goes then if I'm going to be promoting a product, like you have to like want to buy because I'm saying it. And if
Right.
you're following me enough and you know me enough, you're going to know what I'm just bullshitting you about,
Exactly.
what I'm selling.
Everybody knows when they're getting pitched to.
Yeah.
And people turn off. I mean, I turn off.
Mm-hmm.
Like now, if there's somebody out there that I know is credible, that I know is, I like exactly like you said, I like their vibe, and they just naturally say, "Hey, I like this thing," then I'll say, "All right, I believe you." Like it's just that
Yeah,
simple.
yeah.
And so that that's been kind of, going back to the end of that other story when he said, "Do you want to do it?" Like it was just a great fit because I knew the tools already. I was already building out my shop with all the stuff. I knew the community. And so before I even would talk to somebody, I wasn't just throwing darts at big accounts. You know what I mean? Like I knew that this person knew what they were talking about and put out unique stuff. And from our stuff, and it's been like this ever since I've been involved, there's no asks on our end. It's just what could be a great tool for you in your shop. Sometimes that's a pretty straightforward thing. Sometimes I just straight up ask, like what's a wish list? Like tell me, because I don't want to send you something that you're not going to use,
Right.
right? I'm not like I don't have like an agenda of we're selling this month. Like we want to just be the fit, and it'll all go naturally. And then so get the tools in the hands of good people. It's all organic, and people will see through that. Like, not that people will see through the sales pitch side. So we want to do it organically.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and it will come across it like what you're trying to say is, you don't want to see through you, but you're not just selling a product for the sake of selling a product.
Exactly.
And that, I mean, at least with the way I do, especially with Harvey, is I don't try to be like, hey, look at my Harvey, look what it can do. I'll show something when it's cool, and then like if I just used it, I'm like, oh, I should make somebody aware of this. But ultimately, it's in the stories and in that.
Yeah,
and that's how I learned that Harvey existed. I didn't know Harvey existed even a little over a year ago, and
Right.
so like, I had a Delta jet, you name it, and all of a sudden Harvey's there because other people had them all of a sudden,
Yep.
and I didn't feel like I was being sold to have them.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just that they have them,
Right.
So like, what is this
Right.
tool?
And see-
Same with the Laguna. Laguna's a brand I never heard of up
Right.
until a few years ago, and then it's just everybody's got a Laguna all of a sudden. And I know I was smaller time, and I still am, but and those are seem the big companies seem to be using them, anyways. But I'd never heard of them. I never saw one in person or anything like that. And I'm sure that's from a social media push that they did, getting those tools in the right hand.
Well, and like just like you said, whoever you saw it from was somebody credible. You didn't see like an ad or a sales pitch. You just said, "Oh, that person I know and trust is using it." So
Right.
And that's where I was. I mean, that's exactly where I was in the beginning when I started. It's just you go out, you look, you find people, and you say, if it's good enough for them, it's sure as shit good enough for me, right? so
Yeah.
so that's kind of the Harvey story in a nutshell, and it's just changed. It's been a lot of fun. It's been so much fun to meet so many people, just some online and now doing trade shows and stuff like this, getting more personal. Because it's literally people that I used to watch on my phone, scrolling at night. Like, like Izzy Swan is a friend of mine. Like, he calls me just to talk, and that's awesome.
Yeah. I met him at Workbench Con without knowing anything about who he was, and like, somebody was like, "Oh, that's Izzy," and I'm like, "Cool." I'm Mark. I don't know why am I supposed to be impressed by that? Right. And then I think I didn't think about it ever again, and he popped up on my feed, a few months later, and I started following him, and like, man, he's like a genius. He's like a beautiful mind down.
Oh, he's just a cool guy. Like, he's just a tinkerer. He's like a little wizard.
Yeah.
Yeah, he can just, anything he wants to make, he just goes there. He used to, you may not know this about him, but it might make sense. He used to be an MMA fighter.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he told me that. And he was smart enough, he told me, he said, I was smart enough to know that I shouldn't get my head beat in for so long, but apparently he was good. He's a mountain of a man. So.
Yeah, he's a big dude.
Yeah. He's a big dude. He told me that in Vegas. Yeah, that was a cool story. But and like I said, just things like that. Like, I've had Jimmy DeResta on the phone walking him through how to install a big eye fence.
Another dude I did not know existed a year ago.
Sure.
It's wild.
Yeah. And friend of his that they had that Netflix show that Pat Lapp. He's the Canadian guy. Yeah, you would definitely know who he is. But me and him FaceTime. It's. I just say all that to say, like, it's been so much fun to get this opportunity to just go down this path, and it's been a wild ride.
How are you managing both jobs, and then also you're doing your own stuff? I have no kids. I've got 2 dogs, but I have no kids. I've got stress, but especially after the conversation I just had this past week with somebody else, I shouldn't have stress. I have no stress. I don't know how people like you do this.
Yeah, I won't lie to you. It's a lot sometimes. I do but when it's something that you really care about and want to, it doesn't feel like work. I know that's like a generic sappy answer, but the Harvey stuff doesn't feel like work. And 99% of it I can do from my phone. There's a little travel, for the shows, but again, that's fun. Like, and I'm at the point right now, I use my vacation days from my job to go do like the shows and go out to LA to the headquarters and all that stuff. So that's a stress. Like, but yeah, it's really only when all those things add up. But yeah, I've got 3 kids, 12, 10, and 3. So we had a little
12, 10, and 3.
There.
I'd say you took a long hiatus.
COVID happened.
Okay.
And,
that adds up.
You get it. Yeah. So, but my wife is super helpful and understanding of these trips and this type of thing. Like, they're all in the house right now being quiet and not hogging the internet, so I can do this.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
Where do you see, do you see like the Harvey thing becoming more of a real thing? If it were to become more of a real thing, would you want it to be? I can write a letter.
A recommendation
you need a reference?
For me?
Yeah, I got you.
I'm pretty connected. It's a non-zero possibility. I love the vision of the company. I love the team. And they believed in me back when I was nobody and hadn't really proven anything. And I've given it back to them for sure. We've all grown together. Harvey's a lot smaller than you might think. I'm very glad that we're in the same discussion as like the Lagunas and Grizzlies and Sawstops and Powermatics. But we're much smaller than them. And that's like a testament to what we've been building on. But you know, we've got a single owner, Jack, who you also met.
Yeah.
He's awesome, and you know, could call him right now. He's asleep, but a little time zone difference. But so yeah, that's just it's a good feeling when you feel like it's part of the family. So
Yeah.
it's a non-zero possibility that Harvey grows to the point where this could allow me to, you know, just do that, and that'd be a step for sure. But I'm all in with them.
Well,
So
that's cool. I mean, if they're doing their job and you're doing your job, they better damn well get to that point, right? I mean,
we're getting
what's
there.
what's the point of having the company at that?
I mean, we're putting out robot table saws and stuff like that. So you know, we gotta get there.
I want you guys to make a planer. It seems like you don't want to make a planer.
That message is heard loud and clear.
You can make it robotic. So here's my thought. It knows.
Go ahead.
It takes your board. You tell it where you want it to be. So if it's a 1.5 inch board and you want it at 1 3/8, you say 1 3/8, and you run it through. You don't have to set it to anything, and it's gonna figure out where the high and the low is, and then you're just gonna keep going through, and it will just drop down as it needs. That's your computer.
Yeah, everybody wants this, right? And we hear it, here's why: because the joiner planer, separate or combo unit, are like staples of a wood shop.
Yeah.
And people that are Harvey guys want all their shop to look the same. They want all black and red in here. So I get it, because it's all black and red and cool and slick, and then you've got like a yellow or green joiner, right? So I get it. And I mean, I'm the same way. I've got a Raycon combo unit right there, and it's the only blue thing in my shop. So, but yeah, can you imagine like the black and the red knobs? Like, yeah. I mean, it's
well, and then adding all the little things that you guys add, you know, like it'd be really cool. And
innovation
would be hot. It's kind of like because I know you guys have a shaper, and you know, there's once or twice a year where I wish I had a shaper, but it's once or twice a year, you know, and I don't need one because I'm not a full-time cabinet shop by any means, or I'm not doing any large form trim work or anything like that where I'm making my own moldings or something. But yeah, I mean, you're right. The table saw, the bandsaw, dust collector, and then joiner, planer, you've got a wood shop.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I'll say this much. I can say this much. I know Jack has said publicly that we could reproduce what's already out there on the market and slap our sticker and logo on it.
Sure.
But he doesn't want to do that. And that would be profitable for him, right? Because people would buy them. But he doesn't want to do that. Anything that we make, and you can see this with all the things we make, he wants to innovate and increase the quality. And so that message has been heard.
Well, I'll tell him again.
Yeah, next trade show, you tell him again. Yeah. We'll be in Vegas for AWFS next year. We'll corner him in Vegas.
What is AWFS?
So AWFS and IWF, they alternate every other year, and they're just the big woodworking shows. AWFS is probably a little smaller than IWF, but it's in Vegas.
Yeah.
So, I mean, come on.
I was gonna go to the National Hardware Show in Vegas, which is March, right? When is that one?
Don't quote me on this, but I feel like it's usually summer.
Okay.
So
it's a good time of year to be in Vegas. Inside.
Yeah. Yeah, the trade shows have been so much fun, and you know, I'm the guy. Again, we're leaner than you might think. So I'm the guy that with some other of the LA team, and I haven't talked much about the LA team, but the LA team is Harvey.
Yeah,
right?
so that's a bulk, right?
Yeah, that's the team. I love going out there and hanging out with the guys because like I feel like a part of them, even though I'm not physically there. And I am a part of them. I'm like the sixth man, right? I'm the guy that comes off the bench.
Yeah.
But when we go out to these trade shows, it's me and another guy setting up all these tools beforehand. And so like you saw what we put out on the shows. Like imagine having to set up 2 table saws, all that stuff. on carpet in a convention center. It's a lot, but it's a lot of fun. The Bridge City wall, all those are custom little hangers on that wall that yours truly screwed in, and
Yeah. So when I did,
you got guys coming out. Yeah, go
I
ahead.
did a lot of install work. I mean, that's what Streamline was for years, and we did a lot of trade show stuff. So I have a ton of experience in setting that up. But brands like you would hire my company to come in and set up their booth for them. So
we've got a booth company like the guys that did the backdrop.
Okay.
But
we would do everything. I mean, we would have, you would be there dictating, and we would meet prior and all that, but we would typically do everything. And so I definitely can relate if it's just a couple of you out there yourselves doing it.
And like you think, okay, these machines aren't even going to be powered up. We'll just get them pretty close. But no, like the guys that come to these trade shows, these are the customers, the old, very meticulous men. Like I had one guy bring out like a micrometer and like we're checking the fence. I was like, dude, this is on carpet. Give me a break.
Yeah, right. We didn't set it up for that too. It's that time.
It's not dialed in.
It's pretty though, right?
Yeah. So that's, going to those shows has been a lot of fun. Again, just meeting the people, and yeah, those are fun times. So AWFS Vegas, we'll mark it down.
I'll put that on my calendar for sure. I'm trying to do more because I'm trying to with the transition that I have going on over here.
You're going to Texas.
I go to Texas this weekend, yeah. And I lived in Austin for a year, so I'm excited about that actually, just to kind of see what it's.
That's been one that we've been asked to go to.
It seems like a perfect fit. That's why I asked. Like, I just assumed you would be there.
It's a large effort. It's a large effort to get all that equipment out there and back. We sell some equipment on location too, if people want to buy it. Like if people come by throughout the trade show week, we did this at IWF. We'll say, are you interested? If you're local, you can come get this one on the last day of the show.
Oh, really?
It's just a huge effort. And we could go and set up a small booth, but we kind of want the all or nothing, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, that's a tough one though too, because it seems it'd be a really good place to be out there, at least based on the type of people I'm seeing that are going, so it seems less like IWF, but maybe that's, you're looking for larger things, but it seems like a lot more, not hobbyist, I guess, but just smaller shop type of people. And they're offering a lot of classes. I feel like if there's classes being offered, you got users coming as opposed to, big production shops or something like that. So now they could get to know you and be like, I like that.
You've been to those shows. You know that there's a big gap between small shop setups and then the industrial side.
Oh, yeah.
Because maybe more than half of IWF was big industrial stuff that I'm not looking twice at. It's really
more
cool.
than half. That it was huge.
Yeah. It's really cool, but that's not me. So I think that's why we stand out sometimes at those shows, because we're doing cool things, interactive, and people can relate to it more. Like, oh, I could put that in my garage tomorrow, versus the big stuff.
Yeah.
But, we've got plans for something really cool next year at our trade shows that might allow us to be more mobile for other shows like this.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So it's really just the transporting of machinery.
It's logistics. Yeah. It's logistics. Yeah.
Well, I have ideas for that. I'm not going to give them out loud. Okay. But we can make it happen.
All right.
No, but there's ways we could set up. You just got to invest. I mean, everything costs money. But you just have yourself a mobile system and trailer and all that stuff, and you're just kind of ready to rock, and don't sell it at the end, and you just kind of keep trucking around the same piece of equipment, know where you're going next, store it someplace nearby.
The surf prep folks do a really great job of that. I'm sure you went to the surf prep booth. And that's another connection that's been so great too. Like, they are very similar to us. Like in the space, I feel like there's people that get it, and I say people, brands that get it and brands that don't. Like, and Surf Prep gets it, Onefinity gets it, and I feel like we get it. We're all in those same spheres where we're super interactive, but also have a kick-ass product to back it up too.
Yeah.
So
I have yet to, I mean, I met some of the surf prep people, but I have not used any of their equipment or anything.
you gotta
Yeah.
connect with Hannah. She's great.
They're always so like,
She was at the party.
yeah, I know, like, but they bailed real quick. And then even at their booth,
Okay.
they're so in high demand when you go
They
there.
are.
And
They
I'm just
are.
not much
Yeah.
of a waiter, and you know, I don't
Right.
know, I'm just not good at that. So I
Well,
come
you
if you're
know,
available. What's up? If you're not, I'll let you do your thing. I'll catch you. I'll catch you on the
and
next one.
they just appeal to so many different trades. Like in my head, in my little bubble, it's all woodworking related, but you know, the painting world, they're just in so many different.
I mean, their company's called Surf Prep, right? So like you say that to me when the first time I heard it, I'm like, okay, so what is that going to do for me? You know?
They will prepare surfaces.
Yeah.
Yes.
I looked at it like surfing though, you know, like
Oh,
I look
well,
like when I hear surf
yeah.
prep, I hear surfboard, you know, and
Sure.
surface prep makes sense. That I literally
Yep.
never connected that right there until you said that. Now
Yeah,
I
well,
gotta
there you
go.
go.
I gotta go. Oh, surface prep, you sons of
Yeah.
bitches. I thought it was like I just assumed they started like doing like epoxy, you know, like type of shit over surfboards or something, and then like developed a sander that could go over the contours and stuff.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh,
Well,
but this could
and
be used for woodworking too.
Sure, yeah. They're even a family business too. Like her dad is kind of the founder, so it's really cool.
Yeah.
Are you a CNC guy at all?
I'm gonna be. I want to be. I don't want to be, but I want to be. You know, it's one of those things where because I'm entering my creative era. I don't know if that's a Taylor Swift album or not, but it'll probably be your next
Sure.
one. But I'm entering my creative era, and I think I could have some fun with one. You know, I think it could open up some
Yeah.
doors. But on the actual like hands-on side, I'm extremely old school, and computers are. I
Sure.
mean, I have a shaper that I've yet to take out of its
Oh,
package.
like a Origin?
Yeah, I haven't taken it out because I don't want to go through the process of learning it. You know, I got a laser from X Tool because they sent me one, and I've used it, but just the thought of having to like go use it, you know, is like
Yeah.
it's daunting to me. You know, like it's taking me
Right.
out of my thing, and that's why I was developing like doing the Tinker Tavern in the basement. I wanted to have this like space where I could tinker. That would be tinkering to me,
Yeah.
is like sitting on a computer and figuring out how to make this machine do stuff,
Sure.
because my instincts are to do it myself, and it won't be perfect, but imperfection is beautiful to me, you know, when it comes to woodworking.
Well, it all depends on your project. I mean, you it sounds like you came from a world that was doing more like traditional woodworking, and you know there maybe wasn't a big need for anything CNC related.
Yeah. I mean, I came from construction, so in the field, and my wood shop was in my client's garage typically. And, you know, so, and then I started moving into like where I set up a little shop in my garage, but I was never on the Instagram world where I was seeing people doing stuff, you know, like I would just
Yeah.
see photos of cool like things, and I'm like, I'll try to make that. And, you know, worked in a shop eventually to where I got to learn actual like, oh, like there's a whole process in this, but it was just a lot of the skills that I already had. I just didn't know how to direct it or like
Sure.
refine it, I guess. You know, I was just, you know, it's all common sense for somebody that does that at the end of the day. And a CNC for me will be the first thing, just like I do with my laser. The first thing with the laser, I just made templates because it's productive. I didn't
Right.
do like, you know, ornaments or, you know, I don't, that's not necessarily my my gig. I like it for presents. It's cool to personalize something for people, but to be creative with it, I haven't gotten there yet. So that would most likely be the first time I use a CNC, would be also creating a template of some sort or doing something along those lines. But that's what I just need to have one so that I can learn what I can do with it. Because right now it's just a robot doing stuff and I'm not doing anything, you know? So
Yeah. I mean, even if you're not customizing, there's things, depending on what machine you get, what size you get, you know, even things like flattening a slab, you can just press go and have a little mini slab flattener in there for whatever, or cutting a perfect circle, right? So you can just hit play as long as it's not bigger than your bed. You don't have to do all that other
And
stuff.
those
So
two things right there are something I never would have thought about, because I already have it in my brain how I would just go do that real fast, so yeah, that's why I want one. And I probably would go with the Onefinity. I see them a lot, obviously, but it seems based on what I've seen that they're the most idiot proof. They're not idiots.
Oh, I mean,
they could be.
I started and bought my own, not Onefinity. It was an X-Carve from a secondhand from a guy like in Nashville, and that's where I learned. But it was all like belt driven, so it wouldn't be super crisp and clean. And they were the first that came out with like the ball screw system, and it's super precise. And all they've done, if you've been around with them long enough, all they've done is innovate and get bigger and add things like you can bolt on a laser to that where you could get rid of that other thing.
I've seen that. Yeah.
And they're continuing to innovate in the space, so it's pretty cool. And if you get into the bigger ones, that's a totally different ball game. The 4x8s and the 5x10s, and you need like a freaking vacuum pump and 3-phase power. Like I'm never gonna touch those, but I've got
those ones. Those ones, if you have those, you need to be using. You know what I mean? Like you only justify those because you're a production shop and you're gonna produce. Like you're not creating, you're producing over and over and over again.
You're a cabinet shop.
Yeah.
Right. You're a cabinet shop. And I know a lot of guys that, use the heck out of those, and they just hit play and they build their whole cabinets, and there's software that knows what, it's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've grown up from the 24 by 24 X-Carve to the next level and the next level. And now I've got their biggest 48 by 48, and it's
Onefinities
awesome.
or X-Carves?
Onefinities.
Okay.
Yeah. I just had the first secondhand X-Carve, and then I've been Onefinity guy ever since.
Got it.
So,
yeah, they're going to be at
the way to go.
Texas Woodworking Festival.
Yeah, Mr. Stone might be watching this right now. So,
well, this isn't live, so he's not watching this right now.
When it's live,
this is actually going to get aired next year. This is going back.
Yeah,
I don't like the live ones because it's weird, and then depending on your guest, that first like 10 minutes are just the first 10 minutes of a date, and it's just slow and it doesn't grab you.
Icebreakers.
Yeah, so I can cut that out and just get right into the nitty gritty. And I've even had them where I've taken something from the end, like if somebody was going on a tangent of sorts, but like then went back to something they talked about earlier. I'll cut it and bring that part back to where it was, and it all just flows nice, So like we got to the point, and it makes you look good, it makes the other person look good. Because I want it to be fun.
Let me ask you this, because this is a personal thing. Do you enjoy editing?
Yes and no. So once I learn how to edit, I love it. It's the learning process of it that I don't like. But yeah, I mean, I like the direct. I do like and the reason I would say I don't like it, even once I learn it, is because I'm too much of a perfectionist, and like the thing that I did, you don't know that I did it, And so I'm learning with the podcast now is to like you just went when I was talking, and in the first one, I would remove that because it doesn't when I'm listening to it over, especially because I'm listening to my voice. It's not that you did anything wrong. You communicated like we would if we were in real life. But I would remove it because I
want to do it again.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I wasn't saying it. I was just using it as an example. I would take it out because when I'm listening to it, I'm listening for imperfections and not just listening to a conversation, because I've already had it and I don't want to hear my own voice. So I'm trying to get through it. And so like the first one I did, it was perfect. Nobody spoke over one person's words, anything like that. And then the second one, I let a couple, and then the third one, and now I'm just kind of letting more of them go and removing the delays that we might have or something like that, where it's like, oh, I'm sorry, you go, like I'll cut those out. But the talking over each other, where it's not talking over each other. It's just going, it's acknowledging you hear me. Those I leave those in. So now I'm enjoying it more. But it took
Gotcha.
me
Yeah, because
6 hours to do
you're
my
doing
first
work.
one.
Yeah, you're doing work for an end result that 99% of people won't care about. Like,
And they don't know what the beginning was. So like they don't know where it came from. So yeah, it's a waste of time. And it's, if I get 100 listeners, I'm lucky. So what am I doing? I like just make it all right. And then if it gets good, if people start listening, then I can get a producer. But for me, this is just
then
a
you
fun
can
thing to do.
refine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I assume you don't like editing.
Well, it can be a grind. I mean, I mostly edit on my iPad. I've got a software I really like on there, but it's like you shoot it on the phone.
Or are you talking
I've
about
got
for
this
social media or for the podcast?
I mean, it's all the same, right?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay. Well, tell me. Okay.
This is harder for me. The editing
Oh,
for social media, I like that.
Okay. All right.
That's easy.
Well,
Not easy, but it's
in-
fun.
I guess let me backtrack. Let me put a little qualifier in there. I don't mind editing at all for like Instagram, YouTube, long form videos. That's a thing.
Yeah. Well, that's closer to this.
Okay.
Other than I don't edit the video for this. Like it.
Right.
The software will do that for me. I have to edit the audio.
Okay.
But yeah, that's why I only have a couple, and I've got footage for days that I need to put together and make videos. But that's a process.
It is, and you see all these other polished ones, and you mentally you're like, it's got to be that good, and really just get stuff out there, and it may, you can't compare yourself to people that have editors, you know what I mean? That have producers,
and they have editors and producers because this is all they do,
right?
And you have 35 kids, you have 17 jobs, and then you still also add a hobby to that. And now you want to edit these long form YouTube videos,
I know. It's like put the kids to bed and now I got to, put in a couple hours on the editing machine. And that's the thing, like I didn't say it back then, but like with my woodshop projects, I get to be selective, but even the things I take, I usually tell people like, I cannot have a deadline. And I'm very grateful that I can pick and choose like that, but you are on the list. I will do it. If you have a deadline, I'll entertain it, but I'm not gonna, you're not gonna get a 2-week thing out of me for sure.
I'm the same. And at least I was the same. I don't know moving forward if I'm going to have that luxury, but I don't want to be rushed in any aspect, especially when it comes to like custom work, because the end result is going to be affected by that regardless.
For sure.
You know what I mean? So like, just let me do my thing. Let him cook, as they say. So let me cook. Yeah. And I'll get it. I want to get it to you. But I do always say I'm only going to take on one job at a time. So I'll let you know when I start, and then I'll let you know when I'm done. But it might not be in the time frame that you hope it will be. But you can always follow along on social media, and you'll get some updates along the way.
I'll tag you.
Yeah, right.
I'll tag you when I start.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
No, but I do like editing for reels and things like that. But that's because I storyboard, and so I typically have a vision before I start. And I'm not trying to like put it together. Sometimes I don't know the story that I'm going to tell. I know the thing I'm going to show, and I want to tell a story. And then I don't. Anyone that I do a voiceover for, I have no idea what I'm going to say until I finish my edit. So then I edit it, and now I look at it, and then I go, okay, this is where I'll go. Those are fun for me. This is more meticulous and more like listening and looking at a wavelength line and muting it, and then
Chopping.
and then cutting out dead space or anything like that, and then having to hear my voice for an hour, over and over, multiple hours. I listen.
So on the because you put out really great reels for sure. That's one of the reasons that I grabbed onto you in the begin with. Do you use a third-party software and upload straight, or do you use the Reel platform?
I edit through CapCut mainly, and
Okay.
then yeah, I
Okay.
just upload. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to upload like through everything.
Oh, you can just like if you were to just go and create like make a post, you could just put in all your. You could. It's similar to CapCut. It's a little
Oh,
worse than
like through
CapCut, but
Instagram?
yeah, yeah,
Oh, I wouldn't do that. You know, like the reason I started doing that and it was like a voiceover. I didn't like their voiceover uh, button, like in the way that
yeah,
worked. And then I went to
yeah.
InShot and I didn't like their voiceover button. And then CapCut showed up and I don't mind their voiceover button. I still have a separate voiceover app that I'll go to that I like if I'm going to do like the whole thing of voice. But if it's just a
Right, right.
couple ones, I'll do it because I can always hear my thumb hit the record button. Nobody else can hear
Yeah,
it. I can hear it though. And I can't hear. Half deaf, but
that
I still
helps.
hear this stuff.
Yeah, everybody's got their pros. I mean, I know some guys that could be awesome. Like, I just wish that everybody, like the best woodworkers, don't always well, don't make the best content sometimes,
Oh,
and it's
sure.
really like you get the you ones that can do both. Those are the ones that really ascend, and also sometimes just the ones that can do really good editing ascend.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I always attribute it to like just my love of movies. And so and I
Sure.
watch them, you know, daily. So it's I'm
Yeah.
making little movies and I always wish I
Yeah.
was making real movies, you know, and um so I just I'm coming at it from that aspect, so I care about
Yeah.
it. And that's why I like when we were talking about earlier with brands, it's like, well, yeah, I put a lot of work into even if it's an 8 second reel, it didn't take me 8 seconds. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. Right. Right.
and I had a plan. So even if it took me, I mean, sometimes an 8 second reel, if you break out the time, it's 2 hours, you know, to make
Oh,
this
for
eight
sure.
second reel.
For sure.
And not to mention my cloud storage, you know, that costs money, man. You
Oh
know,
yeah. Listen, I get
but
it.
I enjoy it. I
So
truly do. I hate having to squeeze it in, and I hate feeling the pressure to get one out. You know, just because I want to meet my quota that I've set for myself. But
right.
that's anything. I mean, that kind of does it, and then I'll sometimes I rush it. I get it done. I'll put it in my drafts. I'll look at it again in the morning before I post, and I go, I'm going to make a change. You know, and
Right.
I'm doing that for me and not for the viewer per se, because I know if I like it, people will like it, hopefully. But I just need to like it is the most important part.
Yeah. I think the best example that I've seen out there, you may know him. His name's John with Lincoln Street Woodworking. You familiar with him?
I'd have to see.
He's he's huge on YouTube, and he's not well. And this is he says this. He's not a woodworker pro per se. It's not. It's kind of a passion, and yeah, if I might be messing this up, but he is so good at YouTube that he has the shop just to make YouTube videos,
Yeah.
and so like he just works backwards from whatever idea he has in the shop, and then makes a awesome video. I mean, he's the kind of guy, you know, he'll get 2, 3, 400K and he has some million pops and it's consistent. And it's not like he's out there building cabinets or making a bunch of stuff. He's just doing it for YouTube. I mean, he came from like the
And he's probably making stuff for
clothes.
himself.
Yeah, maybe just building out the shop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Versus like a guy like Izzy, for example, who's making all sorts of shit and we're just along for the ride. And
Right, right.
he happens to be kind of good at both. Yeah.
That route is the mental route that I'm taking with moving into the garage and stuff is just to really focus on the content part and making things for content more or less, you know, because being able to
Yeah.
like walk out my door like you are and work at 8 p.m. if I wanted to or something, you know, like I'm regimented with my days and my time and all that. But, you know,
Yeah.
sometimes I get home because it's time for dinner and time to unwind. And I feel like I got a little more energy, you know, maybe I want to go work, but I can't, you know, I'm not going to go drive to the shop and open it back up and go
Right.
do the whole thing. So like, I hope to take those times and then I'm going to edit or I'm going to film this one quick little thing or
Yeah.
do something like
That'll
that.
be a nice.
Yeah.
That'll be a really nice change for you to have, just be able to go to the garage.
Yeah. And then if there's a way to monetize doing what I love without having, you know, a client saying I don't like
Yep.
this, I don't like that, or whatever it is. Not that I
Right.
get that because I love everything I do, uh,
Yep.
but um,
I'm
yeah,
perfect.
right. But yeah, that I really look forward to that being a potential, and at the very least, it's something that's keeping me motivated to move forward.
Yeah, for sure. I think that'll be a huge step for you. And, you should definitely check out, if that's where you're going, you should check out the Lincoln Street because he's super intentional. And then sometimes on IG, mostly through stories, pretty randomly, he'll like tell you all the behind the scenes stuff. So,
I so this
good
this could
resource.
be me. I purposely don't look or follow anybody that's doing what I do.
Okay.
I don't know how to like relate that to anything. It would be like if you had a radio show and you were listening to other radio shows or something like, I don't, I,
Okay.
and I only attribute it to the, the growth that I got on Instagram without putting any, I was not trying to do anything other than what I wanted to do. And I worry that if I do something what somebody else is doing, then I'm losing my originality.
So you're an influencer who doesn't want to be influenced.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to be, yeah, I don't want to be
You don't
influenced.
want it to change you, right?
Yeah.
You
So,
don't want to have that little thought in your head like you should do it like you saw it.
right. So like, it's not to say things, I mean, obviously if you're on social media, things are crossing your path and I'm seeing stuff and I'm getting ideas,
Yeah.
but in regard of like following somebody for like research of like how to do what I want to do. I have a vision on how I want to do it. And, because I'm not, or because I'm a forward focused person, if if it's not going to work the way I want to do it, I'm going to notice it and I'm going to correct. But I gotta
Yeah.
stay in my lane with it.
Sure.
And that's also pure stubbornness. It's just,
Yeah.
I don't want to know what this, I don't want to be like, oh, you're like whoever the Lincoln person is. Your stuff's just like Lincoln person. I want it to be, I'm in the same category as you are, but we're not the
Right.
same, and try to find
Eh,
my own path, not to stick out just so that I can just stay true to myself.
Yeah. You're right though. It is easy to get into the trap of well, this thing is trending or this is a popular style. I should do this,
Yeah.
right? I'm gonna jump in the latest trend. Yeah.
And there is a time and place for all of that. But at the end of the day, like it is, if editing is what sells, then I got to learn how to edit better. If personality sells, then I got to work on that. I'll start taking more drugs or something. We'll figure it out. But
I have to be even creepier.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
And which again was like something I didn't plan to do. Like that just
Yeah.
happened. So like I do want to stick to my guns with just
Yeah.
seeing my vision, and I'm okay with it failing. And then I can always right the ship, right? It's not failing
Yeah.
forever because there's nobody paying me to do it in the first place.
Right. Right. Yeah. Just do it your way.
Yeah.
That's it's a good recipe for sure.
All right, dude. Well, I appreciate you taking the time. We went long here, which is a good long. I'd like to give you an opportunity to say anything you want to say. If there's any family members you want to yell at, any friends,
They're all inside waiting on me.
now's the time to tell them what you think.
No, listen, man. I appreciate the opportunity to come on. This is a lot of fun. This doesn't, this didn't. This just felt like a conversation, just like we had, when I first met you at the show. So, and I love this side of the community, getting to do stuff just like this. So, a lot of fun. As we grow and do more things, we can do this more often.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you. Maybe, well, I guess the next time I see you, if I've tried to get to Vegas, I guess. So we'll see.
And then we can't talk about it
Yeah.
because it's got to stay there.
Yeah, whatever happens there, happens there. All right, dude. Thanks a lot.
All right.
Great googly moogly. What a solid dude. The first thing I thought after, re-listening to this to edit it was like, I could be on a road trip with that dude for like 10, 15 hours, man. Just such a smooth, easy to talk to. I mean, that was just two dudes just hanging out, having a conversation. Hopefully that's interesting to people. I had a great time, and like I said, I needed it. Um, Truly. So I hope I don't sound depressed on this one. Maybe if I, there's that Seinfeld episode where he sounds depressed, but then it was like actually he was more attractive. Maybe I could take that route. A broody Mark. Yeah, whatever. Anyways, I might try to squeeze in one more episode before the end of the year. This was supposed to be a 5-episode season, and this is the 5th episode, so potentially the last one. But I may try to squeeze in a little Christmas present for you. So thank you for listening, as always. If you don't follow Jeremy on Instagram, West, some people do their homework first. West Kentucky Woodworking on Instagram. Follow Harvey, for God's sakes. Harvey Industrial, Harvey Woodworking. Follow everybody. Follow me. You following me? Come on, you got to follow me. All right. I rambled enough in the episode. Now here I'm leaving with a ramble. Ramble. This episode's over.